Near-death experiences represent some of the most incredible and compelling evidence for the reality of life after death. In this video, I'm going to share 7 truly astonishing facts about near-death experiences that have been documented in modern research, some of which are so miraculous that I think you'll agree they simply have no conventional explanation, and clearly point to the conclusion that within each one of us, there's some part of who and what we are that continues on beyond the death of this physical body. The mission continues today, my friends, to integrate science and spirituality, because I believe this ancient wisdom that we are infinite divine beings in a temporary human lifetime could be exactly what we need in the modern era to help humankind evolve and awaken. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with a little bit of background here, and I've shared some of this in previous videos, but it's useful to set the stage here. It's actually quite remarkable just how quickly this field of research has grown over the past few decades. Going back over 60 years now, we have hundreds of scientific publications investigating this topic and thousands of carefully documented cases in which people on the brink of death have reported separating from their physical body and visiting some sort of afterlife. As extraordinary as these experiences are, they're also surprisingly common, and survey data indicates that around 5% of the population reports having had one of these experiences. 5% is a pretty mind-blowing number. I mean, that's over 10 million people in the United States alone, and hundreds of millions of people, hundreds of millions around the world who have reported a similar experience. One of the key findings of research into near-death experiences is that all over the world, independently of sociocultural or religious background, people report the same key characteristics to these near-death experiences, which is interesting and challenging to explain in and of itself. If these near-death experiences are all hallucinations in a dying brain, it's hard to explain why people all over the world from very different backgrounds are hallucinating the same things, right? Now, some of the core characteristics of these near-death experiences include consciousness subjectively separating from the physical body, feelings of profound peace and love, moving through a tunnel or a portal, a sense of transcending space and time, encounters with other beings, a gain of knowledge and insight, returning into the body, into this physical realm, and the transformative nature. These experiences change people's lives forever. Here in the present day, the current scientific consensus is that near-death experiences are the result of hallucinations in the brain in a dying individual caused by a severe deprivation or lack of oxygen. The 7 lines of evidence that I'm about to share prove that that theory is wrong, or at best, that it's incomplete. It's insufficient to account for all of the facts and data and evidence, right? So let's start with number 1. The first fact is that near-death experiencers report supernormal consciousness while unconscious or clinically dead. Supernormal consciousness. What this means is that during a near-death experience, people commonly report that their consciousness expands. They are more aware, there's greater lucidity, there's greater perceptual abilities than in everyday consciousness. In fact, according to a survey of around 1,000 people from the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, 95% of experiencers say that their NDE was, quote, definitely real. 78% of near-death experiencers reported, quote, more consciousness and alertness than normal. And 71% said they remember the experience more accurately than other life events. Now keep in mind that this is during a time when the person is unconscious, comatose, under general anesthesia, and/or clinically dead. A common precipitating event for a near-death experience is cardiac arrest, heart attack, heart stops beating. The moment the heart stops beating, blood stops flowing to the brain. Within 10 to 20 seconds of that happening, the EEG, which measures brain activity, flatlines. There's no measurable brain activity 10 to 20 seconds after cardiac arrest. According to modern science, if there's no brain activity, it should be impossible to have any kind of conscious experience, to have any kind of memory. Even a hallucination requires brain function, right? Much less an expanded state of awareness. The second amazing fact is that near-death experiences often include accurate, veridical observations that can be independently verified. So during their near-death experience, an individual floats out of their body, has an out-of-body experience, is able to look around the room or their environment and perceive accurately events and details that are real, that really happened or were really there, that can then be independently verified. In previous videos, I've shared some incredible cases of exactly this, such as one case in which a heart attack victim described an out-of-body experience where she floated up through the ceiling of the hospital and saw a peculiar object in a random location. She saw a tennis shoe on the roof of the hospital. She was resuscitated and came back into her body, and she then reported to the medical team exactly what she saw. She described the precise location of the tennis shoe, the precise appearance of the tennis shoe, including the color of the shoe. She said that it was a big shoe that had a worn toe and that the lace was tucked under the heel. The medical staff was so perplexed by this, by her insistence of witnessing this, that they went and checked and found that everything that she said was 100% correct. Now, if this was just one case, we could try to explain it away as, accident, coincidence, lucky guess, something, but there are hundreds and hundreds of these cases, documented in research such as this article here, where near-death experiencers accurately describe a conversation their spouse was having miles away, or what the doctors were saying while they were being resuscitated during a time that they're unconscious and clinically dead. In this article, titled Veridical Perception in Near-Death Experiences, researchers reviewed 93 reports of physical events that people observed during their near-death experience and found that 86 or 90% were fully accurate. 6 of those cases contained some error and only 1 was entirely wrong. This in and of itself is proof that there is something incredible going on here. That a person, during a time they're unconscious, is able to accurately describe real-world events, sometimes miles at a distance from their body. The only way that we can explain that is to speculate that this person, in some real sense, is having an out-of-body experience where their consciousness is not limited to their brain. Fact number 3, reported perceptions of future events. This is truly mind-blowing. Okay, so in some cases, people come back from their near-death experience with premonitions or predictions about the future that turn out to be correct. During near-death experiences, people often report what's called a life review. So they see on like this panorama 360 image all of the events of their life that have taken place up to that point. In some cases, those life reviews also include predictions or premonitions or information about future events. This is wild because it challenges our understanding of the nature of time, right? Space and time. Now, Dr. Kenneth Ring, who really pioneered the field of research into near-death experiences, reports some of these cases. He describes one case of a 10-year-old child who had a near-death experience and received the information that he would be married at age 28 and would have 2 children. 18 years later, that turned out to be exactly the case. And again, if this was one isolated event, we could explain this as chance, coincidence. But research indicates that a third of near-death experiencers who report a life review also recall that the review included predictions about the future. The fourth amazing fact is that near-death experiences often include cases of spontaneous healing. Again, this is just miraculous stuff here that in some cases of near-death experiences, people also report inexplicable healing events that happens either during or immediately after the experience. This here is an article describing a remarkable case of this. It describes a 60-year-old man who had cerebral palsy and his right hand had been paralyzed since birth. This individual experienced a profound near-death experience, which is reported in this article, and amazingly enough, when he was resuscitated and regained consciousness, his paralyzed hand, he was able to move it for the first time ever. The researchers say that it remains a mystery as to how the muscles and tendons in his hand, but also the neuronal wirings in his brain, were reorganized during his near-death experience to render his hand permanently mobile thereafter. How can we account for this? This, if you ask me, is a true miracle that a paralyzed hand is suddenly able to move after 60 years. There is no conventional explanation for this. We are so far beyond brain-based hallucinations. To me, this is a true miracle. The fifth amazing fact is that we have documented accounts of visual near-death experiences in people who have been blind since birth. This is a real phenomenon that people who have been blind since birth during a near-death experience report being able to see. Here is an article describing several of these cases where people who have been blind from birth report during their near-death experience they can accurately describe visual impressions of the environment, of their body, of what was happening in the room. And to say the least, this should be medically impossible. I actually made an entire video about this topic in the past because it just leaves you scratching your head. If a person has been blind since birth, physically speaking, even if they're hallucinating, if they're dreaming, they should have no way of knowing vision or light or color. And yet these blind near-death experiencers are returning from the experience and reporting all these visual perceptions, accurately describing visual impressions that they saw of their body and of the room, right? Again, this has no medical explanation. The sixth fact is that near-death experiences often include what's known as shared death experiences. Typically how this plays out is that there's a person in the hospital who's on the verge of dying, having a near-death experience, with a family member or members in the room who are perfectly healthy, especially in cases where there's a close or strong emotional bond. Other family members in the room are also describing sharing in aspects of this near-death experience. Raymond Moody describes a case in which 4 siblings were gathered around their dying mother and all experienced a shared death experience. All 4 of them saw the same things. They saw a bright, unearthly light fill the room and independently reported witnessing cloud-like lights which gathered and formed themselves into a bridge-shaped entranceway. They saw their mother go through this portal, and all 4 of them described it as a peaceful and joyous experience. If near-death experiences are really just hallucinations caused by oxygen deprivation, shared death experiences in the brain of a person who's perfectly healthy should not be possible and are medically inexplicable. And last but not least, near-death experiencers report reunions with relatives not known to be dead. So during near-death experiences, people often subjectively report that when they're on the other side or in this afterlife realm, that they encounter other deceased family members, loved ones, relatives. What's amazing is that, as described in this article called "Seeing Dead People Not Known to Have Died," sometimes people encounter deceased relatives who they did not know were dead at the time of the experience. They thought this person was still alive. When they return from the experience, they then find out, oh my God, that person is actually dead, right? Truly incredible stuff. Some of these cases also include encounters with siblings or family members that people never knew existed. Researcher Dr. Jeffrey Long describes one of these cases of an 8-year-old child who had a near-death experience and reported, "After arriving on the other side, I saw someone that looked somewhat like me. I asked who that person was and was told it was my brother. I did not know I had a brother that had died. We were then joined by 2 other people who were introduced as another brother and sister. They were a set of twins that had also died who I didn't know about." This 8-year-old child had a near-death experience and found out that he had 3 deceased siblings who he never knew about, and then asked his parents about it. Again, to say the least, there is no conventional explanation for this. So there you have it, my friends, 7 astonishing facts about near-death experiences. Every time I read through this stuff, it just blows my mind every time, because this is real. And to say the least, the implications are huge. I am super curious to hear what you think. Please comment down below. What do you make of all this, and were any of these lines of evidence especially compelling to you? Here's what I think. We are looking at proof that there is a genuine mystery here that right now modern science simply has no explanation for. This demands new theories. This demands new ways of thinking, right? And take a moment just to imagine where this could be leading, right? Because every single day, there are more and more of these cases that are being reported. It could very well be that at some point in the future, humankind as a collective is going to come to terms with the fact that there is way more to this mystery of life than anything that we can perceive or imagine in this physical universe, right? Right now, modern science is in a paradigm of materialism, which says that physical matter is the fundamental reality. Afterlife, soul, spirit, reincarnation doesn't exist, can't exist, because they're not in the physical reality. Does that line of thinking sound as irrational to you as it does to me? What we need is a next scientific revolution, a new paradigm, where we understand that there is so much more to this mystery, and the day that we come to terms with that, to say the least, that will change life on earth forever. That will be the awakening of humankind, right? Remembering this ancient wisdom that we're infinite divine beings in a temporary human lifetime. Thank you so much for joining me here today, my friends. I'm excited about this video. I just think this stuff is so fascinating. Please check me out on Patreon to support this channel. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you. Much love. See you back here soon.